Hello, people watching this video. I'm Danny Vaness, and I'm here today because it has been 10 years ago today since I first uploaded my very first review video, my first official one that I actually count. Long story short, technically I had one back in like 2011 or 2012, but it wasn't really a review video. I considered it that at the time, but it really wasn't. Anyway, I deleted it, but anyway. Well, it's been 10 years ago today since I uploaded my very first review video, not to this channel, but to the Dan Git Show channel, because my very first review video was my very first Dan Git Show episode. When I made the channel, I thought, like, okay, this is kind of where I started, like, wanting to do review videos. I wanted to make something because I started watching more review videos in 2014, late 2013, early 2014. I started watching them, or at least videos in general that talked about video games, but you know, some of them would consider them reviews. And I thought, okay, what if I made one? I think, okay, at one point I think my brother Andrew wanted to also do it with us, like wanted both of us to do it, like make review videos. And I think eventually I was just like, I just kind of want to go on my own with this one. So I made a trailer for it, but I didn't have any sort of like actual plan for it. I think I had some video capturing equipment, which is kind of where I got the idea, where I was like, okay, well, I can do this, you know, I can capture with this. But other than that, I wasn't really all that prepared. I just made the trailer anyway. And I did have a little mic, and and I mean little mic, because that thing was really small. I can't remember what type it was, but like it was easy to hold, but it was just like definitely a low quality tiny mic. It got the job done for at least the first episode. I would go on to get a snowball and use that for years. I don't remember exactly when I got it, but I eventually got it and used it for some review videos. But anyway, so I made this channel. So like I made their trailer, and then I made this channel, and I called it the Dan Git Show channel, where it would be dedicated to the Dan Git Show show. So the reason I call it Dan Git Show is because I was originally like I used the word dang it, or I said dang and it, and I put them together, and I was like, what if I separate it? And I'm like, I played Dan, and well, I also played Git, but like, you know, I had a character Dan, had a character Git that was played by a Halloween skull that I got back in like 2011 or 2012, and yeah, it was I got him, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna give him some kind of voice, and so I decided to use a voice like this. I just kind of came up with it, and it kind of stuck. It was the only voice. It's one of the only voices I have that really doesn't sound like me all that much. That doesn't sound as close. It's one of the furthest away I have from my regular voice. So I started using that. And in the trailer, I was like, okay. Well, if I gave him, like, whenever he said names, he would be like Pig Latin. So when he said my name, he wasn't like he'd be like Dan, or Daniel would be like Angel Day. And this is back before I started going by Danny on here as much. But I kind of dropped that idea. But yeah, I made the trailer way before I actually uploaded a video, because the trailer came out like March or something like that. In 2014. It came out on both that channel and my regular channel, just to kind of advertise the new channel. When I made the channel, I kind of had this idea of, okay, I want a kind of clean slate with this, so that way, if anything happens to my regular channel, I still got this channel, and I can, I had in my mind that, like, you know, if I start talking about video games, that I'm gonna get big, or, you know, a lot of people were like that back in the day, you know. It doesn't always work out, but a lot of people were like that. So I made this channel, and it took me months to actually upload it. It took me until today, 10 years ago, to actually get it uploaded. Like, I I was coming up with ideas. I kind of went back and forth with either reviewing Frogger on PS1 or all the Twisted Metal games in one video. I eventually went, or it may have been one video, 3 videos, like I ended up doing. I can't remember, but eventually I ended up settling on Frogger. I have different footage for like different versions of it. A couple of clips that you see in the final video come from like one of the earlier versions of the video. But I eventually settled on what would become the final video, and I put it all together. And I wanted to stand out a little bit with my first episode, well, with the show in general, but like with my first episode, I was like, okay, how do I stand out at least a little bit when it comes to quote-unquote reviewing video games? So I had this idea to be like, okay, it was similar. Well, I said it was similar to Kid Icarus's. I can't remember the name of the thing right now. His like quick reviews. I can't think of the name of it right now. It's been so long since he like stopped doing those, so I just can't remember. Current Quickies. That's what it was called. So. I was gonna say it was something like that, but like it really wasn't like that all that much. It's actually more similar to what Rerez did. If you know about Rerez, his YouTube channel, or well, I don't know if it could be a group of people, but at least the main guy on there, I guess you could say. He had this series where he would like talk about these really terrible games, but he would point out some positives about the games. But then I don't remember if he may have made some videos that were like of good games that were talking about negatives, but I don't remember for sure. Well, I kind of had that idea, like, what if I did something like that where I would most of what I would talk about would be games that were like, where I would talk about, first I would start with the pros, and then I would go on to the cons, and I would kind of review it like that, and I would do it like out of 50 instead of like out of 100, which my review score system did not always make sense, in all honesty. It really didn't make sense. So I decided, so what I did was, I was like, okay, I explained it in the first video, but I was like, okay, so any games that are usually looked at pretty negatively, I'll have a pros only. I'll only talk about the positives. And then any games that are highly praised, I'll only talk about the negatives. So when I did that, I started out with Frogger, and for Frogger, I didn't really hear much of anyone saying much about it, so I just did the pros and cons. And I was going to start doing that. Well, Frogger ended up being the Frogger video was the only video that actually came out in 2014, because it took me such a long time to really come up with what I would do for the next game, or what game I'll talk about next, and kind of come up with how am I going to do all this. And then it took me a few months, and within that few months, I decided to just completely abandon that idea of pros and cons. So, starting with the second episode of talking about Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, I would just go on to talk about, I would just go on to do how I basically do with my videos, like going forward, like all the way up to my last one, essentially. Not exactly the same, but essentially the same idea. I didn't do the pros and cons thing. So, yeah, I completely abandoned that idea. So I thought, when I started eventually adding like subtitles to the episodes, I would be like, I called that first one Weird Pilot, because it was supposed to be like the most different thing of any of the videos. Now, when I released that video, it was like, I thought it was going to be a success. Like basically what I thought was my channel was going to be a success, because I released my first video. I'm proud of it, and I'm still kind of proud of it, because it it was my very first video, and I feel like I really put a lot of work into this video, and this video got like over 200 views at the time, I think, like within a short amount of time. And for me, that was practically viral for me. That was a lot of videos. Sometimes today it's kind of a lot of views. I mean, so I was like, okay. And then when I released my Mortal Kombat video, still on the Dan Git Show channel, and not too long after, I release my Sonic the Fighters video, and that would be the last like regular Dan Git Show video on the channel. And then I would release my first Fast Reviews video on the channel, and aside from a few like update videos and explaining my rating system, which still didn't really make much sense, I eventually decided, yeah, let's not have our own channel. Like, I don't know. I eventually decided I'll just put this stuff on my regular channel. So in May of like 2015, that's when I started uploading the videos to my regular channel, which I still called the Untitled team at the time. So this was, I didn't go by Danny Van S until like 2016 or 2017. So I eventually did that, and I went on to make, whenever I was making my fourth video, I had this idea, like, what if I had some sort of storyline for this next one? And so what I did was I got my friend Corey. He is, he was actually in the Sonic the Fighters video too, but he's been with me whenever I make videos for my channel, he's been with me for a long time. Been a good friend of mine since early high school. So he sometimes he'll do the camera work, but like I asked him to play this villain who captures Dan and makes him play this terrible Pac-Man game. And so I get him to he's kind of someone who just mumbles because he wears like an upside down scorpion mask. Because I had a scorpion mask at the time. I may still have it. And I call him like Volt or something like that. And he captured, it's in such a ridiculous way because there was like no budget to my videos, so I just worked with what I had. So I get him to like, have me down there. Like, we didn't go by any kind of script. We just kind of went by general, like, okay, so this will happen, and and so we kind of went along with it. And so I did that. So it's supposed to be like I was forced to play this Pac-Man game until I was eventually able to escape with the help of Git. And so I started escaping, and my brother eventually starts filming us running so we could be in the same scene and be in the same shot, me and Corey. So I started adding that story, and I thought this was pretty fun. It took a lot of work, but it's pretty fun. Since I was already doing live action scenes, I thought, why not add something creative to it? And then I thought at the end, what if I start adding a story to this Dan Git Show? So I eventually so before we wrapped up filming that day, I had an idea where I would play a character who would eventually go by the name of Main Boss Guy, and he would go up to Vault, and he would be like, he would help him out, he would bring him up, and he would get him to capture Dan again, or at least get them both around eventually. I'd have them come back eventually. So then I went on to do the fifth episodes. I made some more episodes. I eventually did my Twisted Metal videos for episodes 6, 7, and 8. I used some clips from my original video of that because I did film the first Twisted Metal video, like live action scenes, but then I scrapped that idea and then had the newer stuff. So I did that, and I had it to where Git could sense, like, he could sense that, like, main boss guy was coming, and Vault was coming, and, like, you know, it's at the end of, like, the third Twisted Metal episode. And the next two parts would be like the quote unquote season finale. And I pretty much made it a season finale because it was like at the end of it was near the end of 2015. And well, we were so, like, you know, the next video would be about Shadow the Hedgehog, but it would be like a 2-part special. Well, it was interesting because, you know, I got all the Twisted Metal videos filmed, and the next video was going to be on Shadow the Hedgehog. So when I got done with the first part, me and Corey got done with the first part of the Shadow the Hedgehog video. Like, we filmed it. This is before I filmed myself, like, playing the game, and then eventually the last part of it. And well, the very next day, I ended up having kidney stones. And that was the first time I ever had them, and I was panicking, and believe me, they never get better when you have them. But anyway, that was the first time I had a kidney stone, and boy, I thought I was like, oh shoot, am I gonna die here? But during that time, you know, I got that done. So eventually but after that, I eventually got done with filming my scenes for Shadow the Hedgehog. I think I filmed those during, like, October, and I think we also filmed the other ones in October or maybe early November. The other part where like Dan is confronting main boss guy, and Corey was there to film for me, and then, like, it was a fun time filming. We had to, I think at one point we had to kind of change up something because the day was getting a little too dark, so we couldn't really finish that day. So we just kind of redid that scene. But I eventually uploaded it as the season finale to the Dan Git Show, the first season. And I uploaded both the parts I had both the parts come out on the same day, on the 10th anniversary of Shadow the Hedgehog, the video game. I thought, this would be pretty fitting. So that's what I ended up doing. I kind of had an idea to do a Shadow the Hedgehog video with the Dan Git Show for a bit, but I eventually ended up saving it for that. So yeah, I eventually had a storyline for the Dan Git Show. I had a Christmas special at the end of the year, and then the next year I went on to make I had a few other spinoffs, like fast reviews, short reviews, and, like, accessories reviews, and but, like, the main videos, I had like 17 of those. Like, as I was going through 2016 making these videos, you know, I was still kind of having fun. Me and Corey came up with some ideas for a new villain that would assist main boss guy. We had a video where he would appear, but that eventually fell through. I decided to change things up, and eventually, after I got done working on my Kirby review, which ended up being my last regular Dan Git Show review video, I started to think, like, okay, what if I have this special of, like, the main boss guy, and I kind of came up with this quote-unquote movie, or at least multi-part special, which ended up being a quote-unquote movie. And I got a little bit tired of doing the Dan Git Show. Whenever I added the story, it started making things a little complicated for, like, when I would need to film them, and, you know, the fact that we kept changing, or, like, I kept changing, really, ideas, and I got kind of tired of it, and so I thought, I want to move on. But before I talk about the next review show, in 2017 to 2018, in 2018, I eventually released the Dan Git Show movie, which was Main Boss Guy's Revenge. And it was, you can definitely tell, you might be able to tell at a point, I was just like, I want to get this done. I was happy to work on it for a while. We were working on it during, like, I came up with the idea in 2016, kind of worked on it in 2017, me and Corey did, and we finished in 2018. But the reason it took a little bit longer was because basically had a family emergency with a family pet, and they kind of slowed things down a little bit. So, kind of delayed some things, and then eventually, we got done in like the summer with filming, and I eventually I made it in release it in October. See, with the movie, what I eventually ended up doing, like originally it was going to be a bunch of reviews, and it would finish up the series. It'd be a bunch of reviews that like Main Boss Guy would come up with, but what I eventually decided to do was have it where Dan Git and the new character Show, which was introduced in the Crash Bandicoot Game Boy Advance game video, or games, whatever you want to say, and they would all get teleported into this virtual world that Main Boss Guy came up with his assistant. And well, what ended up happening was that like Git found a way out, and then so I decided to record footage from different games. And I had I had Dan go into the Grand Theft Auto world, like a world, Grand Theft Auto, and Grand Theft Auto 5 specifically, because you can make like your own movies on that thing, or in that game. So I thought, hey, why don't I do that? I have a character that kind of looks like me. It kind of looks like a middle-aged version of me, but it was a character. My character was trying to find a way, he's trying to find a way out, and then Git was started out in Soul Calibur 5, because I was able to have a skeleton character there, so I thought, why not? I kind of sloppily put it together, but that's partially because, again, we didn't have a script, and I got to a point where I just wanted to get it done. I just threw together a plot, and, so eventually, by the end of the movie, Dan and Git and Show end up in just this virtual world. Like, Dan's body kind of fades away, but now he's in this virtual world where he lives there, and that's kind of where it ends. But it was kind of annoying after rendering all the video. Like, I was just trying to get it done. I was making sure everything was working, but the one thing that didn't work was the fact that, like, at the very end, like, the sound randomly goes out of sync with the picture. And I was just like, I want to be done with this, so I don't care. I'm releasing it. I'm done with the Dan Git Show. I would eventually go on to try and bring it back in some way, but that never went through. I mean, I'm not saying it'll never happen, but I don't have any current plans now. I did try, but I was like, nah, I don't want to. The Git mostly would eventually make some appearances here and there, or cameo, quote-unquote appearances, mostly voicing. So, yeah, that was the Dan Git Show for me. But going back to 2016, I was tired of the Dan Git Show, but I wasn't quite done with reviewing. And that's when I eventually thought up of yet another review show. So, yet another review show was something I came up with when I thought, okay, I want to still review games and other stuff, but it's pretty much I pretty much had a game review shows that were that occasionally had like a movie or a TV show or something. But anyway, so I came up with yet another review show. I was trying to think, like, what can I say that's like, it's just another review show on the internet. Well, I thought of another review show, and I looked it up, and there was already someone with that name. So I thought, okay. So I thought, why don't I just say yet another review show and call the name like Yars, and thought of a pirate going Yar or something. So I made that. I made this show, or I made this show called Yet Another Review Show, and I was just like, this could work out, because I will not have a story. I will still film in live action, but I will not have a story. I will not have characters. It'll just be me. I may have some characters for comedic effect, but it'll just be me doing it. So I came up with the show, so like if anything happened to the show and I couldn't do it anymore, then I wouldn't have to worry about ending a story, because I hate to leave stuff on cliffhanger. So when I had, which is why I even made an ending for the Dan Git Show. So I had yet another review show. I made this show. It was basically the same as what I was doing with the Dan Git Show, again, except for no story and not a lot of characters, unless, again, it was for comedic effect. So, I'm doing this show, and I decided to do some games I hadn't talked about before, until I eventually did Frogger again, Frogger on PS1. But that was because it was the 20th anniversary of that game, because it was like September of 2017. So I thought, why not? Why not make a 20th review video? 20th review, that'll give me an excuse to talk about it again. So I'm doing the show. I eventually got the idea to, I think in 2017, it was still in 2017, I get this idea to, I was like, okay, why don't I attempt this again, where I make my own channel? This is something I've done a lot, by the way. I've come up with one idea for a channel. I may do a little bit with the channel itself, and then I just completely abandon it. That's happened a lot. Well, Yet Another Review Show was kind of no exception. So I created a Yet Another Review Show channel on YouTube, and I upload all the videos. I can't remember if I made any changes or not, but I uploaded all the videos to this channel, and I eventually do one video for it, one original video for it, for the channel, that I hadn't uploaded to my regular channel, to this one. So I thought, okay, this could work out. This is my Halloween special, where it's of Jersey Devil on PS1. Not many people know about that game, so I'll talk about that game. After that one video, I suddenly decide, actually, I want this on my regular channel. Never mind. So I bring it back to, so I upload that new video there, and I just abandon the Yet Another Review Show video. I abandoned the Yet Another Review Show channel, is what I meant to say. So I do that, and I just continue to upload there. I eventually have this thing where I would use it as a riffing thing. I would just riff with other people, but I didn't have anyone else at the time. So when I made the Christmas special, where I talked over a Sonic the Hedgehog Christmas special, it was based off of kind of a mix of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic Sat AM. So when I make that, I use Git's voice to kind of it's like we're both riffing it. How it did, that's entirely up to you, what you think of it. So I do that, and of course the video gets copyright struck. I didn't get affected. It would probably only affect me if I actually monetize these videos. So I do that, and I thought, okay, I'll do that in the future at some point, but for now I'm going to continue doing video game reviews. So 2018 is coming around, as I'm also finishing up the Dan Git Show movie. I'm working on Yet Another Review Show, and as I'm doing it, I start not really enjoying it all that much anymore. I start not enjoying doing Yet Another Review Show. So like I end up coming up with this other idea for it to change it up, see if I might enjoy this a little more. So when I eventually start doing my Earthworm Jim video, I have this idea. What if I kind of do it in a way that ranks the videos? Like I do a ranking of the videos, or of the games, I mean. And I start doing this. So I kind of rank. I set it up to where I talk about the games and rank them from worst to best. And I don't remember. I may have uploaded it to. No, I uploaded it to my regular channel, I think. Well, I end up deleting that video because I was like, you know what? It's not all that good. So I went back to just changing it to the regular format of talking about just the games and as a regular thing. And I kind of make a joke about that. I kind of make a joke about me kind of making all these changes to my shows and all that stuff in my channel at the beginning of the video. So I do that. I do like one or two more reviews, or at least one more like spin-off thing, because I had a spin-off where I would just kind of babble over the game, wouldn't consider it a review. So yeah, I did that, and that was basically my last Get Another Review Show video was about me babbling over a Flintstones game on NES. So I abandoned that, and then I go on to finish up the Dan Git Show movie, and then I thought, well, see, here's the thing about Yet Another Review Show. I think I was just not in the mood at the time to start making review videos anymore. It's both that, and I wanted to finish up the Dan Git Show thing, the movie. So I stopped doing those. I finished up the Dan Git Show movie, and I don't remember exactly what went through my mind of like if I thought I was done, or if I was just like taking a long break from Yet Another Review Show. But whatever happened, I eventually came up with the idea of Danny Tree Frog. I believe what I was thinking at the time was, maybe I'm just tired of doing review videos where I also use the camera. The camera will kind of get on my nerves sometimes. It was a camera from like the late 2000s or early 2010s or something like that. And eventually it was just old, and like, I don't know. I guess I got tired of just doing videos like that using the camera. And I thought, I guess I got a little tired of like having to dress up properly. And I mean, I would usually wear my pajamas, like, or what I would wear to bed in general. So not that it mattered too much to me about what I wore, but I wanted to look decent enough for the camera. But I guess I got tired of it. So I came up with an idea of having a review show where it would just be the voice recordings. It would just be that. I wouldn't be doing any more on-camera recordings, and I would just do this. I would just voice over it. So I thought, I should come up with a character for this. Now, I don't remember how many characters I came up with, or how many like different types. So like it would be some version of me. I may have thought of my avatar that I tried to push called Poorly Drawn Dan. I tried to push that back in the day. It didn't work out too well, but I don't remember if I was trying to do that or if I was trying to come up with another original character. I eventually started thinking, what if I came up with a frog character? Because when I was a kid, I was obsessed with frogs. Something sparked in my mind, and I just became obsessed with frogs. It's kind of a chicken-egg thing. I don't remember if I became obsessed with frogs because I loved Frogger, or vice versa, if I love Frogger because I love frogs. But whatever the case was, I was obsessed with frogs, so I thought, what if I just come up with my own frog character that would essentially be a frog version of me? where I would slightly change my voice to make it a little bit lighter toned. It would eventually get lighter over time, and then I'd just change it to my regular voice. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, I come up with a character. I'm thinking of different designs, and then I thought, I'll just make him a red-eyed tree frog. But I'll kind of put my own thing on it. Like, I had it to where it almost looks like his eyes are connected, unless he turns to the side, then you can see they're not connected. They're just, like, really close to each other. Like when they're look like they're connected, I kind of probably had Sonic in the back of my mind, like with the way most of their eyes are. So I do that, and I come up with this design where he's wearing I always have like red shirt and blue pants or blue jeans or whatever in my mind when it comes to some of these characters. My poorly drawn Dan character essentially wears a red shirt and blue pants. So I had Danny Tree Frog wear this, where his shirt would have like a video game controller on, like a generic video game controller on it. And I thought, yeah, this could work. This is a good little character right here. And I eventually released a trailer. I call it Yet Another Review Show. But it's not a trailer for Yet Another Review. I kind of tease at the beginning where I'm showing the beginning of Yet Another Review Show for the trailer, and but then as it gets to the end, as it's ending, it transitions over to the opening, at least the first opening for Danny Tree Frog, and so I come up with that, and then I make a joke at the end about like, oh, you can order this really expensive bundle and get this really cheap toy that'll break easily and all that stuff. So, obviously that was never a thing, but I released a trailer as like October or November of 2018, and then I released the first video in December of 2018. Where it's Danny Tree Frog, like he's talking about Rayman Brain games. I thought, okay, first video for this show, and I thought, okay, it'd be like a baby game. So, well, baby game in theory. Really, the game is really hard, but I kind of bring that up. But it's like an educational Rayman game, basically. So I do that. It's kind of a success, and then eventually I talk about other games over time. I eventually talk about a movie with that show. So I finally actually review a movie. I kind of had to do things differently because I didn't want to record a movie only for it to like potentially get copyright struck. So I kind of did something different for that. The first movie I talked about was the Ratchet and Clank movie, which was, well, you can watch the video if you want to hear my thoughts on it. So I talk about that, but I have images instead of video recording. So, like, essentially, Danny's Tree Frog was like my other videos, except the scenes where it would normally be like live action would be of, like, Danny Tree Frog, like still images of Danny Tree Frog doing stuff, or as like an avatar or something of Danny's face. So I do that for a while, and it's going good. And then I eventually decide once again, because I have characters here, it's a fantasy land, so I thought, let me add a story to this. It's kind of a repeat of the Dan Git Show, except this time it was a little bit easier because I could just draw the pictures. I was thinking the pictures through. As much as they look like a little kid drew them, I did kind of think the pictures through before I made them. So I was just kind of like writing down the script and just kind of like making the pictures, because I was thinking it through. What is it going to look like? What's going to happen in it? Because I had in earlier episodes of the show where Danny was dealing with his neighbor, Gerald, who was always drunk all the time, and he was getting annoyed at Danny because he was staying up at night he was staying up during the day, and his and he would normally try. He would try to do things during the day, but like but like the frogs were asleep that day. Or there's animal. I tried to base it off of like animals being asleep during the day and then waking up at night. Like that's how red-eyed tree frogs are, and that's how some other animals are. So I was kind of doing that idea for a little bit, but I had like Gerald, like doing something ridiculous, like placing a bunch of TNT around Danny's property and causing it to, and setting them off and causing it to go flying into the ocean. Since it was a cartoony thing, I thought, why not? We're talking about talking animals here, talking frogs and lizards and all that. So then I had this little storyline that would kind of connect to the review videos. So like the next review video took place after this this storyline where Danny went out there. So I had the opening change to being Danny Tree Frog reviews Lost at Sea or Out at Sea or something like that. And he would be out at sea for a little while. But eventually I had some friends of his come. So I had a friend of his named Peppermint come, which they call him Pep. He is a common emerald dove. I started looking up some different animals to come up with his friends. I had Pep come over to him, and just to kind of keep him company. Danny's being hunted down by this robot named Metal Danny, which they call Manny, he gets reprogrammed into being their friend by someone who just kind of ended up tagging along with Danny because he was out in the ocean, and his name was Charles, and he is a dwarf lantern shark, if I can say that word right. And that's kind of the crew. I was like, okay, I'm gonna come up with these characters that are gonna hang around with Danny as he does his review videos. So I do that, and I thought, hey, this is kind of fun. It's kind of fun to have this group of characters. Eventually, Danny gets. I had the idea of like, okay, I want to get him off of the land. Like all this is going on in 2019, and like they eventually reach land, and so what ends up happening is they have to drive all the way back to Florida, which is around where Danny lived. So and all of them lived. Well, yeah, all of them lived. Sorry, some details I keep forgetting to bring up. These are never professional, by the way, so as you can tell. So they're trying to get back to Florida. So they start going through, they're in like Antarctica or somewhere, like the North Pole or something. So they go through there, and eventually you see that he's being hunted by this guy, this mysterious poison dart frog, whose name is Question Mark. And I was kind of coming up with this idea. I just thought it'd be kind of ridiculous. So like he's being assisted. He has an assistant. They're trying to hunt Danny down, and he gets mad at Danny because his house, like Danny was living in his original house, which was the last thing like brought him joy, and Danny just kind of left it to rot because it was already rotting away. But like Danny kind of left it, and so he got really mad at him. But he was trying to hunt him down anyway. But like that was kind of the last straw. It's a little disjointed. I mean, I'm really no story guy. I can't. I'm no writer. I can attempt it, but I'm no writer. So anyway, so I'm doing that, and then so they're headed back. And then they end up running into a guy named... I came up with this character, this penguin character, because I thought about having this cool crossover thing, or this kind of, crossover or like a guest appearance thing. So I asked Michael Zander, who is Exo Paradigm Gamer online on YouTube and on Twitter and all that. So I asked him, because we're kind of online friends or acquaintances, however you want to say it. And so I thought, hey, if you don't mind, would you want to voice a character of mine, at least for one episode? And he says, I don't see why not. It took a long time, because eventually I was going to have like a review, but then I thought, I'm not good at this. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this for sure. I eventually scrapped the review idea and just had like a video that would connect the story. And this guy was like, I had this penguin that was named Mitchell Tables, and like he was essentially a Danny Treefrog in a universe animal version of Exo Paradigm Gamer, except he did some different things. But like in terms of the name, it was very similar. So I did that, and then I feel like I kind of phoned it in when it came to the voicing the characters, because at the time I kind of had to. I couldn't really speak all that loud because a certain situation was going on. So I thought, okay, I can't be too loud here, so I got to be quieter with my characters, and you can kind of tell that with the record, like the episode. Like I feel like I didn't really put my all into the video. So, but I feel like he did a pretty good job with the script I gave him, and he kind of helped me out with the script and giving me suggestions and like some changes and like, so it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to have that, even though we haven't really talked like well, obviously not in person. We live in completely different areas, but we never talked like even online except through texting basically, or through messaging online. So I eventually get the video done, and at this point in time, it hasn't really gotten that many views. Not that my videos really get a whole lot of views anyway, but it hasn't gotten that many views. But I tagged him in, and I was like, this is pretty cool. And then so I continue doing review videos. Well, at some point I decide because of the story that's going on, it's kind of a repeat of what happened with the Dan Git Show. I get a little tired of doing, either tired of doing Danny Treefrog. Really, I was tired of doing the review videos with Danny Treefrog. I think I wanted to do something different with him. So I thought about ending it. Then I changed my mind about ending it. But during this time, I thought, okay, I'll end it here. But I don't remember if this was actually before I did the video with XO or if it was after. But I decided to move the review show over to Untitled, my character Untitled that I made back in like 2007. He was kind of my mascot for everything. I made everything after Untitled. My Xbox gamer tag was like Untitled 1994. My email is Untitled. Has Untitled in the email, and it was everything, and that's why I had the Untitled team for the channel. Well, eventually, whenever I just didn't do anything with Untitled, I kind of dropped it for a while. But what I decided to do back in 2020 was make Untitled Super Untitled Reviews. That's the name I eventually came up with. I tried to come up with some other shows with Untitled for a while. None of them really stuck with me. None of them really, so I wanted to do that, and then kind of change his design. I had this same design for years and years, and I thought, okay, what if I change it to where he's kind of a rock-type creature, like a stick figure type creature that's human-like, but he's like a rock-type creature. So I made his skin a little more grayer instead of black, like jet black. So I thought, okay, let's do that. And he has like some red vine fingers, and I just kind of come up with this crazy idea. And like where Danny Treefrog's voice is a little lighter, Untitled is a little more deeper. So I make his voice a little deeper. I don't know how obvious it is that I'm just making a deep voice like this, trying to sound deeper. But so I come up with that. And I decided to make it, I decided to have a show, again, like a review show, with Untitled. Well, I come up with the idea, I have the trailer, like Danny Treefrog is telling Untitled that he can do the reviews now. Well, I do one episode, and that ends up being the episode I have to get released on the 10th anniversary of my Danny Benes channel, or Untitled team, or Untitled. Anyway, so I come up with that after one episode, and then after trying to do another episode, I'm like, I'm not really connecting with this. I'm not really doing this right. I'm not really feeling this Untitled role. So I dropped the Untitled show after one episode being released and canceling another episode. So I went back to Danny Treefrog. So for the 4th of July, for Independence Day, I have the Tiny Tank review with Danny Treefrog. And I thought, yeah, okay, I'll just continue Danny Treefrog. But then eventually, getting closer to the end to the last quarter of the year, I'm like, I still want to do more things with him. I still want to do more things with this character. I want to do something other than reviews for him. I kind of ask around, like, what do people like about Danny Treefrog? Do they like the reviews with Danny Treefrog, or do they just like the characters and story in general? And it seemed like people liked the story and characters in general, even more than just the reviews. So I thought, well, okay. So I decide to come up with another review show. Because, like, I can't remember if I was going to be done with reviewing or if I was just moving on from Danny Treefrog reviewing games. So I come up with the idea of a show that would be a lot more simple in terms of, like, making it. It wouldn't have any story, wouldn't have any characters, and I would just come up with a simple name of Danny's Review Show. In October of 2020, I end up releasing my very first Danny's Review Show video. Now, the thing about Danny's Review Show was, like I said, it was going to be simple to set up. It wasn't going to have any characters, no live action scenes. It's just going to be a simple sit down, record video game footage, then record write a script, then record your voice, and there we go. So that's what I ended up doing with Danny's Review Show. And this format seemed to have worked for me. Like, I could work on other Danny Treefrog stuff. I could work on other stuff in general. But, I could still do my Let's Plays that I started doing back in, like, 2015 or 2016. And, but, like, I could do all this. And I could... like it would be a lot more simple. Like all I would have to do, like I said, sit down, play the game, write a script, record the voice, put it all together. No, like, I could have comedic stuff in there, but like no super comedic, cutting over to different things, like different scenes for, but while it did start out a lot more simple, I eventually went on to making it. It was still simple to make, but I eventually went on to having, like, it wasn't as comedic when I first began it. Like, I tried to make some jokes here and there, but it wasn't as comedic at first. And then eventually I went on to have more comedic moments. Like the Family Guy episode, I had a couple of live action scenes, but they weren't going to be like a mainstay. As I went on, I think with this show, this was finally my moment of realizing maybe I am getting tired of making review videos. Maybe I am just getting a little, like, drained of making, burnt out of making review videos. So eventually I was going to stop. Well, then I decide, starting with Banjo-Kazooie, the Banjo-Kazooie video, I was going to start having live action scenes. I thought, you know what? Maybe I do want to do this. Maybe I do want to continue this. So I make the Banjo-Kazooie episode with some live action scenes. Try to have an image for myself. And then after that one episode, I was like, never mind. I remember now why I don't want to do these. So that was it. That was the only... I mean, other videos later on would have occasional live action scenes. But like I kind of clarify in the next episode that I just didn't want to do the live action stuff anymore. So I went back to just the simple format of just recording my voice with occasional live action scenes for certain videos. Well, then I thought, again, like as I was making the show, I kept thinking, I'm just tired. I'm just tired of doing this. So I'm thinking about canceling it. And because this has no storyline, I can just cancel it. Well, it just kind of happened here and there. But I would eventually start making more videos. So then I thought about something. Something that came to my mind. I want to end it, but I want to end it with a bang. I want to end it with something big. What I was going to do was end it after... So like I'm making the videos, and then I thought, what if I have... Like, because I'm getting really close to having... Like, putting all my shows together on what all I would consider a review video. What if I had my 100th review video, like my 30th, what would be my 30th review video for Danny's review show, it was going to be the 100th review video. So that's what I decided to do, was I was going to end Danny's review show and end all my reviewing of games and such with the 100th one, with the 100th review. So that's what I decided to do. I've planned all this, I started making more videos just to kind of get up to the 100th one. And then the last like four or five episodes of the show, I kind of started building up to this grand finale. My character was getting notes from under my closet, and I was like, what's going on here? I was getting all these notes, and you put them all together, and I cannot for the life of me think of what I wrote down right now, even though it was a big moment. But eventually, he turns them around and says, check out your closet. So this is where I had more live action scenes, and then I get sucked into the closet. I end up in this place where I am talking with my characters, and we're going to be talking about different games. Well, the idea for the finale was, okay, eventually I thought, what am I going to do for the finale? So my original idea was, okay, I'm going to review all the games that I had on my first PlayStation system. My first PlayStation systems, both the PS1 and the PSP, because that was the first Sony handheld system, like actual PlayStation system. My first Nintendo system and my first handheld Nintendo system, which was the GameCube and the Game Boy Color, and my first Xbox system. I was going to talk about all the first games that I had on those systems. That was going to be the grand finale, and I was going to have them potentially be separate episodes, maybe. Well, that idea started to fall through whenever I started to realize it, and I was like, do I really want to do this? This is kind of going to feel disjointed. So then I thought, eventually, actually, I asked my brother. I was like, what would be cooler? What should I do for the 100th review video? Should I talk about all these games here, or should I talk about all the Frogger games? Because I've always talked about Frogger. Each show has had at least one Frogger video. or maybe at least 2. Like I talked about Frogger a lot. So I asked Andrew, my brother. He said the Frogger one. So I thought, okay, that would be cool. So I knew what was, I knew it was going to take a lot of work. So what I ended up doing to save on the work was I just took videos I already had. If I had already talked about a Frogger game, I might have, and it was more recent, I might have used the footage from these videos, or just straight up had the videos on there and just kind of talked about the game that was like that I already reviewed, unless it was one that I hadn't reviewed in a long time, which is why I talked about Frogger 2 a lot more, or with a lot more detail. And I also took some footage that I uploaded to my Just Some Gameplay channel, which you can download videos. The quality kind of suffers, but it got the job done. So I got all that, and I was like, okay, this will also be the first time I use emulation to review a game. I was starting to learn about emulation around that time, so I thought, okay, I can talk about these Frogger games that I don't have on systems I don't have, or just in general Frogger games I don't have through emulation. So that's what I did. So I got all the footage, except the only Frogger games I didn't talk about were like this one TV game, I think, for little kids, and and the mobile games, like the ones that came out on phones. And I just kind of talked about the history of Frogger. I also talked about the Frogger TV show that came out during the early 80s. And yeah, so I talked about Frogger, and what I did was I had a bunch of my characters all come together in this one thing, like at least one character per show. It wasn't always the main character. It was just one of the main characters, one of the main reoccurring characters. So I had like Git from the Dan Git Show. I had Pep from Danny Tree Frog, and I had Untitled again from Super Untitled Reviews, and that was it. But and I had I had Sonic from Yet Another Review Show because I didn't really have any characters there. So the closest thing was using the characters I had in the opening, and I thought, okay, Sonic. Of course I'm going with Sonic. So Sonic was there. He's the only character I didn't make that was added to the character list. So that's what I did. I had it to where they were kind of there to help out with the reviews, or they were there to give me the games and, kind of make some commentary. I had Corey come in to be the guy who just wanted to see all this happen for the 100th video. So that's what happened. I had Corey come in, do that, and I modified his voice, and then it's just all this is not. By the way, all this is not canon to these stories that I have for these characters. This was just a fun thing to put together, kind of like how I came up with these characters to begin with. It was just a fun thing to do, and that's what I did for the final review. I had some live action scenes. I had some non-animated cartoony scenes, and yeah, so I finished all that up. I had the credits for it, and I was just like, that was my final review. And that's what I wanted to do. That's how I finished reviewing, was with Dane's Review Show, talking about Frogger. And I thought, okay, I will talk about video games still, but I do not want to do the review format, because I'm burnt out of doing the review stuff. I'm burnt out of those types of videos, so I want to move on. So, but then that's what ended up happening in 2023, which was last year as of this video. So I thought, like, it was going to be in 2022. That review video was going to come out in 2022, which I think it would have been completely different had I done that. But what happened, I probably would have went with my original idea had I done that, but what had happened, I had I don't want to get into too much detail here. I don't want to make, I don't want to go into too much detail here about this, but basically I lost a very close family member, and I didn't want to do any of these videos for a really long time. So, which I kind of had some videos here and there, cheer myself up, but like, that really affected me. So it got delayed for a few months, and it didn't come out until like April or May of. It may have started out in April or started in March, one of those days, and then eventually it all got finished up, basically around somewhere between March and May of 2023. Because I don't have it out here with me to really check for sure, because I don't remember every single detail. I'm getting old now, so so yeah, that's what happened. So it got delayed to 2023, which I think that's actually what caused me to do Frogger. I don't remember for sure if I was still going to be... No, okay, I was planning on doing Frogger even before. I think I just kind of changed how I was doing it. But yeah, so after that, I started kind of dabbling with other types of things. I started dabbling with other types of videos talking about video games that was not in the same format, and nothing really connected with me. Nothing really made me feel good. Like, maybe I was still kind of burnt out of talking about games, and I just wanted to play them, but I still ended up getting that itch to do more videos. So now I've been doing some videos as of recent, and what I plan to do in the future, I'm sure I will still make changes in the future, but as of now, I am still doing similar types of videos. I'm just not calling them reviews anymore. But that is the history of me doing review videos. Will I ever go back to actually doing calling them reviews and doing all that? I have no idea. I don't know what the future holds for me. But yeah, so that's basically where I'm at right now. Is I make videos that are similar to them. I make other types of videos, or I just kind of play games on my own. I do Let's Plays and all that stuff. I had a really good run with the review videos, like when I was calling them reviews. I just got a little burnt out. I think when I came back to them, I realized I just needed a really long break. And now I realize that it doesn't really matter when I release these videos. I'm just going to do them whenever I feel like doing them and try to complete them when I'm still in the mood. So that's what I'm going to do from now on. Is just do them, as of this video right here. So that's basically it. I know this was a very off script thing. But I hope you still enjoyed this video. And thank you for watching my videos on here. And thank you if you stuck with me throughout throughout the entirety of me doing review videos. And, I appreciate you staying with me this whole time. And happy 10th anniversary to my review videos, I guess. And the reason these were really important to me. Okay, let me do that. The reason these were really important to me. Just had to get a drink of water there. Anyway, the reason this was kind of important to me to talk about the review shows, or the reason why these review videos were so important to me, was because this is when I really started not taking it completely seriously, but taking video making a little more seriously when it comes to making videos about my favorite hobby, video games. And when I started making them, I was like, they started getting more views. While I don't care that much anymore about getting as many views, it's still nice to see all these views come in for certain videos. And a majority of the ones that get the most views are the ones that have to do with video games. So whenever I work on these video games whenever I worked on these video game reviews, and some of them at least would get a lot of views, I was like, this is pretty cool. So it felt really nice, and it felt pretty cool to do it for a while at least, to make these videos. And this was when I finally started getting like when I first started YouTube, it was just like I only had I think for a long time I had single-digit number of subscribers. And for a long time, I had double-digit number of subscribers. Well, ever since I started doing more and more video game videos, well, okay. Don't get me wrong on this. I greatly appreciate having all these subscribers. I never thought I would even reach almost 400. I'm like currently at 370 something subscribers. But I realized that in terms of like people making videos on YouTube like that, I am in the lowest of the low, or in some of the lowest of the low when it comes to that. But I do greatly appreciate you, all of you who subscribe. So thank you very much, because like I never thought I'd get this far with YouTube at all. I mean, like this far, even though this, like, for a lot of people this wouldn't be far at all. Believe me, for me it's far. It's a far thing. Like it's I never thought I'd have this many subscribers. So then I'll create just some gameplay, and ends up getting way more subscribers for me just uploading videos of gameplay. But that's okay. I appreciate all my subscribers, and for all the ones who stick around. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Like this video if you liked it, and subscribe for more videos on this channel. And until next time, thank you for watching. Have yourself a good day or night.